So loop count I have given to, number of threads is 100. So number of samples will hit is 200. But here, how many samples we have is only one sample in the thread group. Okay, that is the meaning of this. I have only one request in the thread group, and that one request should run 2 times. And thread count is 100. That means 100 users will hit one request 2 times each. So it will become 200 samples, right? 200 different requests goes to server. That is how we have to understand this. Okay. Okay, and next one we have is like delay thread creation until needed, right? So what happens in this thread group? So thread group, what does this will do? This will create some threads for us, right? So while creating a thread group, if you wanted to have some delay in between, then we can go with this option called delay thread group until needed, something like that, right? So yeah, we will try to understand this practically later when we design the next advanced script. But as of now, let's try to understand basics. So whatever it is required: name, comments, action to be taken, number of threads, ramp up, loop count. So these are very important. So these basic things we understood. So other delay thing we will try to understand later. Okay. And yeah, so this function to functional test mode. So functional test mode, again we have to go back to this test plan. So in test plan we have some options, right? So run thread groups consequently we understood. Next option is run teardown thread group after shutdown of main thread. That means so we have set up thread group and teardown thread group. But when do we need to run this teardown thread group, right? So that definitely it has to run after completing or shutting down of all the threads or main thread, right? So there are main threads. So if main thread is completed, if you wanted to stop, if you wanted to run the teardown, then you have to check this option, or else it's not required, right? So but ideally we will not use this option much, but just to understanding purpose I'm trying to add this. Okay, the next one is, next checkbox here we have is functional test mode. What does this mean? So functional test mode means using Jmeter, it's not that we can test only performance scenarios. We can also test the functionality like backend services, okay, or some UI functionality also some cases. While doing that, this option will help us to save the response data and sampler data. So response data and sampler data, in the sense, when we hit a request, we are sending some parameters, and once we get the response, we are going to get some other parameters and some different content like images, JavaScript files, or something else which are related to the main request. So do we really need to store all the data or not? When we run the scripts through Jmeter user interface, right, UI, Jmeter UI, yes, we can do that. But when we run from some backend service like Jenkins and so on, we no need to check this, right? So if you wanted to locally run the scripts in Jmeter, yes, check this checkbox, or else it's not required. So that is what the purpose of this functional test mode. So do you really need to store the response data and samples data? If required, store it, or else don't store it, right? So that we have to decide to check by checking it or unchecking it. Okay, yes, so these are the set of options available in the test plan and thread group so far.